up into the forever high darkness above. She had become used to forever high darknesses and sourceless winds, but the screaming was new. Damien's hand on the back of her neck was new too. His grip was tight, though not necessarily unpleasant, and if she had to admit, she would not say she hated it. Rather, she would have simply preferred it happening somewhere a bit more private. While Damien's touch, even like this, was a comfort, she knew something was quite wrong. There had been a moment when his violet eyes went wide with distress as he tried to impress upon her the importance of doing exactly as he said, the implication that the consequence of not doing so would lead to something terribly unpleasant, like her death. Exaggeration was sort of his thing, especially when it came to Amma's life and the threatening of it, but he nor anyone else had killed her yet. Yet. Still, Amma sensed a shift the moment they translocated into the small chamber where Damien had gone from passed out to panicked wreck. He had since corrected his demeanor to carry himself with the cool confidence she was used to. In fact, he was downright chilly, back straight, eyes boring into the darkness ahead, mouth drawn into a tight line. And those fingers, they burrowed into her flesh so tightly she couldn't have torn herself away if she tried. Amma dared to peek up at him, but his gaze did not flick back down to meet hers, his grip only digging in as if in warning. Do nothing, do not even speak without my permission. That was what he said, and though she'd thought it a joke at first, the seriousness was hemming in as they traveled down the dark hall on the heels of an imp that was not cause. Those strangled, far-off screams continued to prod at the back of her head, and she clasped her hands to keep from fidgeting. The hall's end opened up, and Amma was hit with a bracing breeze that made all of her already aching muscles go tight. This new chamber could hardly be called that at all, massive and going on into eternity to either side, blustery like they stood at the top of a cliff, but without egress to the outdoors. Thick columns of dark stone rose upward, illuminated at their bases by blue flames that danced in the gusting wind. The carvings laid into the pillars were unsettling, though hard to decipher in the moving light. An agonized face, a rib cage rent from its chest, a kicked puppy. The columns ran ahead of them, carving out a makeshift walkway in the otherwise empty expanse of a cavern. The imp led them onward, tiny in comparison, but Amma felt just as small as they passed several statues at least double the height of what they were crafted after. Though she supposed they could be to scale, as each statue was robed and there were no visible features to tell her exactly what or who the creature beneath was meant to be. The bases had name-like carvings into them, and she recognized the Chthonic letters, but could only discern something like council member and a symbol she thought was a number. But then Amma's ability to translate the language of the dark gods was still fledgling. It was a long walk across the cavern, but they eventually came to a wall that crawled up into the darkness above, and a small desk sitting just before it. The imp scurried off into the shadows, leaving them. Rather ordinary in relation to the imposing stonework and ominous darkness all around, the desk was wooden, cherry if Amma wasn't mistaken in the low light, and behind it sat a woman. "Running a little late," she said, lifting her eyes, all 6 of them, from a thick ledger. Amma started, pressing back, but Damien's hand held her still. Set into 3 rows up her forehead, each red eye flicked over Damien, and she grinned. Then they darted to Amma, and that grin plummeted off. "Registration?" A pyramid-shaped crystal slid across the desk, and Damien pressed his thumb to its sharp point. As his blood seeped over the sides and was drawn in, the crystal's color deepened to violet, and the woman watched as words wrote themselves over the parchment in her book. Her lips twisted into a deeper smile. "Lord Bloodthorn, welcome. We were afraid you wouldn't make it. You missed the opening ceremonies." She turned then and glanced up at the wall behind her. Drawers were set into it, each marked with a symbol, and one pulsed in that same deep violet color as the crystal. It was much too high for her to reach, but as she stepped away from the desk, Amma saw that she did not need a ladder to access it. A long, spindly black leg reached up and poked itself into the wall, followed by another and another, until all 8 were carrying the woman's mostly human torso atop a mostly spider body, vertically up the wall. Amma gasped, and she expected Damien to again squeeze her, but this time his fingers slid upward into the hair at the base of her skull, massaging in a small...